When I was 23, I went through a real rough patch. Hell of a rough patch. Sort of rough patch you write about. About that time, I gave up on all the things I dreamt as a kid, a young man, growing up. All the things that I thought I'd do, all the things I thought I could achieve were shook away from me. And that was doubled down by a mental health diagnosis of bipolar a few years earlier. Jumped in my car and I drove off into the wild blue yonder to discover a world for myself. Started out as a salesman, did that for a couple of years, and after that, that was it. It's been, damn near 20 years. 20 years of telling stories and drinking and making up songs and singing and having fun with my friends and making good art and making bad art and forgetting some of the things we made and, a whole world of rambling. Yeah, I guess that rambling started out with my fascination as a kid with John Steinbeck's work. Not books like Of Mice and Men or East of Eden or that. The Grapes of Wrath in particular didn't interest me. A few books that did grab me though, and they were the stories about people who came from the rougher end of life, books like Cannery Row. But the one that grabbed me in particular was Tortilla Flat, and how our hero went off into the night to a magnificent death. And it's stuck with me. It seemed like that was a far more interesting life than a 9 to 5 or, anything like that. This seemed like an adventure. Sort of thing you could write books about. And I did write books about it. Written 2 of them. One of them a razor-thin book on my philosophy of creativity, and one on the reflections of my experiences in Adelaide. Wild times. And you could look at it and say, well, you don't have a house, you don't have a wife, you don't have a kid, you don't have a car, you don't have a lot going. But it's the stories you leave behind. It's the stories that define the life. I mean, what sort of story is high school was easy, I got a job, I bought a house, I married, settled down and died. I mean, in the detail there's a lot of happiness for the person living it and joy and so forth, but not a lot of adventure. And that was what sort of scratched at me. These rough people had adventures, and I guess 25 years later I'm one of those rough people. That, I've always found rough people easy to get along with. Their rules are there because that's how you got to get by to live. They play by those rules, and there's consequences. There's no fucking around. There's no fakery. There's no vanity. And I guess that was something I always wanted to know, that the people around me were real. 20 years. 20 years. But you know what? Good times and bad. It's been 20 years. So it's too late to get off the road now. So I think I'll just keep rumbling along on my way. For me, my way seems to be art and telling stories and writing things down. Haven't been doing enough of that. Sometimes you forget things about yourself. Sometimes you think that, hey, today I painted a picture, so tomorrow I'm an artist. But you're not an artist unless tomorrow you work on another picture, and then another picture, and another picture, and another picture. You got to put the hours in. And that's the hardest thing to do as an artist. Especially today. I mean, we got all the distraction of an internet. It's not enough to paint a good picture. You got to promote that picture on the internet, on Facebook and Instagram and wherever the fuck you post these things, But you don't have to do that. It all depends what your goal is. I mean, if your goal is to live comfortably off art, well, do all that stuff. Do the social media, do the gallery fucking shows, do the, going to 25 openings a week. You can do all that. You'll get there, as long as you put in those hours. Like, you got to put in the hours and make the good art as well. It's not easy. But, we don't often define our goals as artists. And I think if there's anything I've worked on in the last 20, 25 years, it's me. When death kicks me sideways and smoking into the grave, I'm going to be my greatest achievement. And that ain't all bad.